got an earworm of a song in my head at the moment. Right, we're live. Good morning. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you had a great break. Right, back to the grindstone then. See what's coming up. Firstly, let's look at the news events. Just literally gone through this in the trading room. Not a great deal out today. We've Italian bank holiday. It won't affect the markets at all. We've got the German inflation data comes out. There's 6 states to report. Comes out over really this morning. It says all day, but it's not really all day. I think by 1 o'clock we've got everything normally, if not quicker. Final services PMI 245 US, so there's a little bit to kick the new trading week off with. This week, of course, we've got ADP non-farms on Wednesday, the non-farms themselves on Friday. Traders will be watching for those key numbers. We've got some flash estimates, etc., coming through here. Core flash estimates, CPI inflation again, sitting there, coming through on Tuesday. There's a bit, as I say, to come out this week. It's not a busy week on news, but there's enough to cause a stir. So let's have a look at the technicals. Now, this first day back in real terms for me. I did have a peep at one stage during the holidays, but I've just literally been through them from a bigger picture. Let's just run through what we're seeing here. So starting off with the euro dollar, and well, towards the end of last year and into the first day of this year, we saw quite a sell-off or a strengthening of the US dollar, whichever way you look at it, sell-off of the likes of the euro, the pound, etc. So we saw this continuation. We took out these prior lows here, give us another new lower high, so the bigger trend here remains to the downside. Shorter time frames, I'm just looking this morning. We'll see what the reaction is to the weekly pivot here, and that's really what I'm waiting on. I would be, and now it could be half a day before we get any chance on this, but there might be a swing opportunity to the downside. We'll see what happens. If it pushes on through the weekly pivot, then I'll just leave it alone, but a reaction to that pivot and maybe a break of the trend line here, it's been quite smooth. I'll look on the short for the short sides, short opportunities. Could be a few hours away. In the short time frame here, we've got these little high lows, high highs, but it's not really much. It's just a drift, a bit of European or continental drift. Anyway, that's nothing immediate for there. The main daily pivot's untouched at the moment. Might be a bit of a draw, but the pivots are quite pinched as we look at the moment. The pound, very similar picture to the euro, same sort of pattern, completely looking at exactly the same thing towards its weekly pivot here. Got the potential again of a breakdown. It has pushed up a little bit quicker this morning, you could argue. Looks a little bit more steeper, but we'll see what happens when we get some bigger volume coming through. Now if we start seeing it just continue, well, maybe we just bottomed out in the short term for now. I'm not suggesting that these markets have got reason to roll over quite yet. In fact, at this time of the year, often now we didn't see it happen in December, but normally December drops on the dollar sold in December and bought back in January. Well, we'll see if the buying back comes or the buying comes for the dollar in January now. US dollar yen, it's not really moved too much at all here, consolidating where it is. It's not too far off of last year's highs really. Where did we see them back in July there when we run into highs? The Bank of Japan doesn't really want to see it this week, so they might start suggesting things. We could see this rolling over, but for now it's quite a messy old one, which being near its highs, I don't particularly want to join in on the long side on this. at this stage. Shorter time frames maybe all looks like there's quite a lot of different resistance points up here, which means no journey is going to be an easy one there. But yeah, when you look back at the daily summary, if you just ignore that these were the prior highs, the highs for last year, and you looked at this and you just think, well, possibly this is going to break out and continue. Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar, well, has continued. You see the trend that we've seen, solid downward trend there. It's choppy as we went into December last week there, looking horrible. It's really whether we got a breakdown. There is a few signs, or there are a few signs I should say, that it might come back towards its new yearly pivot. Monthly pivot. The yearly pivot's up here. It's a way away. But we'll see what happens with these. It's been quite ugly last few days, and this is just horrible price action you get when there's not a great deal of volume in the markets, and there's horrible chop. It has, as I say, pushed up through the Asian session here, but quite ugly at the moment. I prefer to be trading on the short side. It has broken below yet last year's lows though, but that's not to say it won't continue going. US dollar CAD, some things up pretty well here on the dailies, just no real action since the 24th. Very little market action there. There's lots of new highs there. New highs, lots of high attempts anyway, breakout attempts. We're early into this morning, really. It's sort of the original strength coming through on all of these markets against the US dollar. A bit of US dollar selling, but maybe we'll see more of that. Don't really like this where it's sitting at the moment because of the bigger picture. It's so strong to the uptrend. So probably steer clear of it for this morning. We've got better opportunities looking on the euro and the pound potentially. New Zealand dollar again. As we look at this last week, not over the last week, it's not really been doing too much. Just looking at where they were. Okay, it's a bit of a dragged out one. This. Really not a lot here. It's equally been quite ugly, but we could see some reversals and continuations to the downside here. Short term, it's quite a way away from its new monthly pivot. Now, if these markets all start pushing up and we see some dollar selling, these are the sort of markets that you've got a reasonable high probability of that monthly pivot being hit. It's not necessarily the way I'd like to be trading when you look at the bigger trend though. The dollar Swissy, seen a bit of action on this again this morning, short term, but the bigger trend has largely been to the upper side. We'll see if it will come off towards its new monthly pivot at some stage. Breakdown of the weekly pivot, so really this is a bit inverted euro and the pound effectively. It's whether or not these will reverse into the pivots, because otherwise they appear reasonable opportunities on the buy side. Again though, I don't know if the Swiss National Bank want to see their currency quite so weak. Just looking at what's happening here at the moment, it's a bit of a sell-off at the moment, but we're seeing this sort of move at the moment, a bit of a sell-off for the short-term selling of the US dollar for now. Okay, not a great deal there. It's a bit of a patience game, as it normally is at the beginning of the year, just to see what the main theme is going to be looking like. There's not anything changed fundamentally through the period. A lot of these economies are not really doing too. Just doing a little curl around there. We'll see. Okay, that's pretty much the main currency pairs at the moment. Looking across other markets, gold. So gold consolidated pretty much of the time. Looking quite weakish relatively where it is sitting at the moment. Lower highs confirmed on the lower time frames here, looking soft. Nice move off its daily pivot there really early this morning there at 1 o'clock. Came rolling off of that. It's done quite a bit so far, but again I would sit and wait for a little while maybe on some of these markets just to see what more they do. Oil, well, oil's been having a little bit of a decent week leading into this week. Again, with this sort of price action going on there, high lows, higher highs, we could be looking for a swing high at some stage. I'm sort of looking at the new weekly pivot, and it'll be nice to see if price comes down to that and finds support and starts bouncing. That would be a nice entry. Alternatively, well, maybe this afternoon, the way this has been going with the high lows, higher highs through it, maybe buying if it's back above the sort of current hourly. Really, we'll see what it does. Not too sure what's driven that, but it doesn't really matter. It's we've seen buying going on from there. The equity markets, haven't really looked at these at all. So this is first lot. When was that? Last week. Just trying to get back up there last week. They're in a bit of a mess. So I come back to the daily view on this, and it's starting to form a bit more of a triangle sort of pattern there, which is a bit more random. Are we going to get buyers coming back in? It's sort of turning the corner a little bit here, and it's got the potential to see more buyers coming in on the lower time frames there. So there is some potential. The FTSE's chop. Yep, ugly as sin. Like the futures like the 2nd of January, but really it's such an ugly market on the dailies. It does have potential on the intraday trading, but I'd like to, if I was looking at the longer side, which sort of appears to be the right side of the market to be on, it need to be back above the daily pivot to be interested there. The DAX, a bit of consolidation where it is. Is this going to consolidate and then roll back? It's a bit of a sort of flaggy pattern on this time frame. Quite ugly looking. It's a bit either or here. If it does manage to break out of these short-term highs, last week's highs, maybe we've got some scope for a bit more upside. It's all a bit ugly as it looks on the lower time frames on this one. See, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so in summary then, we'll see what happens here with the euro and the pound, looking at them into their weekly pivots as we're just watching it now, see what the reaction's like. If it pushes through, I'll have to wait a bit to get a better plan of action. I really want to be on the short side at the moment with what the market's doing, but I need a reaction to come off these weekly pivots. It's the same on the euro and the pound here. In fact, the pound, yeah, was quite slightly short of it at the moment, but the overall trend has been to the downside. It's whether or not we see it continuing with bigger volumes coming through. Right, I shall leave it there. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning on the YouTube there. Take care. Bye for now. There we go.